Big question here on Morning Kick Around Monday, March 24th. I'm Robert. He's Jason. The question here heading into the segment, what will end up having a bigger impact on American soccer? The performance of the men's national team at the World Cup 2026 or the implementation of promotion and relegation at the club level?
Well, okay. Well, one of those. Okay, actually, I was going to say one of those things is definitely happening, and the other one we don't know, which is a good performance by the United States men's national team in the World Cup. But that's probably not right because we can't count our pro rel chickens yet, right?
No.
They're still incubating. Paul McDonough's doing the rounds, trying to assuage some fears, but talking up the idea of, it's still going to be a slow process. And, there might not be any relegation for a couple years as we try to figure this out. And we got to get all these pieces together, and there's going to be a lot of work and all that stuff. So, and by the way, I'm not trying to dampen excitement for Pro Rel. I don't think you can jump both feet into the deep end in Pro Rel and expect it to happen and go well and not flame out and fail within a couple of years. So I'm okay with USL slowly building to this thing, but it does mean we're going to have a little bit less of excitement around it, right? That's it. But obviously, we can't count on the U.S. men's national team having a good World Cup in 2026.
When you first said you can't guarantee any of them, and I was like, which one is he talking about here?
Yeah, but what I'm going to say is, let's just, for the purposes of this question, right? This is what we're about. The U.S. men's national team have a good World Cup. I don't know if we need to define that. Let's say just because we're dreaming here, okay? And everybody in the chat, know that I'm dreaming. Semifinal appearance in the United States at the World Cup. Okay, Morocco just did a World Cup semifinal. We've had host nation in South Korea make a semifinal run in a past
Croatia
World Cup.
made a good run.
Well, yeah, but not hosts. But yes, Croatia is a much more accomplished footballing country than the United States of America. I'm talking about some of the lesser lights, Morocco, South Korea. Maybe we can do that. All right, so let's say a semifinal run for the purpose of this question, a semifinal run for the U.S. men's national team at the World Cup next year. And obviously on the other side, Pro Rel. Now, Pro Rel's happening at the second division level in terms of the mentality. They want to be a first division. They want to launch that. It's not going to be an MLS competitor right away, and maybe never. So I think you have to put that in context. Rob, I think it's the national team. And I don't really think it's a question because we are a big event country. We are fireworks and halftime shows and when it comes to the U.S. men's national team, obviously the thing that pulls it along is that ability to rally around the flag and the patriotic element that comes with supporting your national team. Now, I think I've said recently on the show that one of the reasons our national team might struggle a bit to respond to the pressure of needing to win is that there's not a lot of pressure because the country only cares when they're either good or they're really, really bad, and then once they're really bad and they're acknowledged as really bad, we everybody forgets about them. Everybody just moves on. Either they get jokes made about them or not. Whatever. It's like they don't exist. And the opposite of love isn't hate. It's apathy, right? Like that's where the United States men's national team lies on the sports spectrum in America. But if you give Americans, and of all backgrounds and all cultures and all sports liking, an opportunity to bandwagon, they will bandwagon. They'll bandwagon harder than anyone's ever bandwagoned before. But the other part of that, though, is, Rob, and maybe you can give me your thoughts here. I do think that it's the national team over Pro Rel. But there's a longevity issue here, right? You'll get a big burst of excitement around a deep run in the World Cup of the U.S. men's national team. But will it be temporal? Will it be ephemeral? Will it disappear quickly and sort of fade out? What would it mean for Major League Soccer or USL or any other men's soccer property in America when people can't directly connect what happens on the field in the World Cup to the leagues that exist here? Maybe it means more eyeballs on Pulisic in Italy or whatever. That could be a thing, but it's not quite as effective or quite as important to American soccer as would be a big boost for MLS. But Pro Rel could be a much longer burn in terms of excitement. I just don't think it's as big of a burst.
It's an interesting question to think about. It might be a both in conjunction. It just speaks to the exciting time that we are in right now. Like there is a World Cup on our shores, in just over a year, and there is the most solid plan to actually implement ProRel, and we're at roughly the same sort of timeline. ProRel teased for 27-28 implementation, obviously World Cup in 2026, and it's probably both in conjunction. The World Cup would kind of like be a chance to inspire and like kind of create heroes and little kids. How many players now have referenced like seeing Clint Dempsey in 2014, kind of inspired them to, become a pro. But also at the same time, promotion relegation could kind of raise the floor so that there's more, small town people that are connected to it. More people are fans. People are a little bit more aware of kind of the whole landscape. And so I think both are good short-term World Cup as we go over time, and if the implementation works out right, there'll be more people, at least at a general conscious level of the game, and pro soccer will be more real to more people here.
I think here's a way to think about the impact, right? If you have a massive burst of excitement around the U.S. men's national team, right, and suddenly the national team is front page news in the sports world, and people are enthusiastic about the future of American soccer, you can't imagine. I'm connecting some dots here and jumping ahead, but you could imagine that would mean money, right? That would mean people going out to games and paying to see games, of course, but also maybe investment, corporate dollars. I mean, this is all kind of feels icky to get into, but this is the way the world works now, right? So if that happens, then you hope what happens is that money trickles down. And maybe that investment isn't just on Major League Soccer or some of the bigger properties. Maybe it is on the lower divisions, right? Or maybe it is on building soccer development centers or whatever it might be, and investing in coaching education. Those things are a more sort of lower profile, but very important. You can imagine that would happen off a big burst. It's like the success of the '94 World Cup in terms of the attention it earned drove forward. Obviously, Major League Soccer was required by FIFA, but it drove forward interest in soccer that we hadn't seen before and got us to this moment. So you can certainly imagine that. Whereas promotion and relegation in USL, again, is going to happen maybe a little bit more below the surface or a little bit farther down. It doesn't mean there won't be investment or excitement, but it'll be of a different kind, right? And again, as you said, if we get a bunch of teams that pop up because suddenly now they can enter the pyramid, such as it is in USL, at the lowest professional level and maybe win their way to the top division, maybe that does mean lots more people have games to go out and see. And I'm thinking generations here, Rob, like 20, 30, 40 years, that will be more important and more substantive for American soccer than, again, this sort of big burst of excitement and maybe some investment. But I don't know. I think it's a reasonable question to say, investment now at a big level after a World Cup in 2026 could have that same sort of impact over the long term. It just might be harder to track because you won't be able to point to teams on a map and say that team is because of the World Cup or that team is because of the World Cup.
Well, we shall see short term in the World Cup and possibly, a generational moment to come if Pro Rel does, get off the ground as the plans are leading us to believe. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Thank you for the comments, some good ones in the chat here today. Head up the Morning Kick Around YouTube. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. We've done some really good numbers, and let's continue working our way towards 5,000. And as those numbers increase, the show is getting more fun. The conversation is becoming more dense and thorough, and more opinions being thrown out there. So thank you for that. Head us up on social media at mkickaround on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. And then write us an email, morningkickaround@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support us with a little bit of cash, ko-fi.com/morningkickaround. You can do small, big, regular, occurring, one-off. It's really flexible there. And then if you go there and donate a little bit, there is a bonus segment waiting for you over there at Ko-fi.
Yep. Yeah, and we're going to work on some extra bonus content down the road. I think we've got a lot of things percolating here at Morning Kick Around. We are also trying to figure out the whole podcast situation. Mm-hmm. That should be available in your feeds momentarily. Still working on that. So once we get some boxes checked or whatever, settings figured out, we'll let you know.
So did you feel today was cathartic to let it all out, Jason, or are you more wound up and more pensive about it all?
I'll probably spend the day all kinds of wound up and angry and hostile towards everyone around me. I should feel bad for my mailman, who I might see later on. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to be one of those people. This is where the problem lies. I don't want to be one of those people who gets so inured to mediocrity or failure or disappointment that then I just sort of like drift away. And I saw some posts today indicating that kind of attitude, right? Like, oh man, I haven't been disconnected to the national team since before I knew there was one. Or,
Ooh.
why would I? I'm so happier now that I don't care about the U.S. men's national team. This is my entry point, right? I was one of those kids, young people, who was very excited to see the United States do anything on the world stage, and this is the clearest expression of American soccer on the world stage. You can talk about players being in big clubs, and that does matter, and all those things, but this is what we want a World Cup. We want a men's World Cup title. I'm so thrilled we have a women's team that is capable of winning tournaments on the women's game in the women's game. But we want a men's World Cup title as well. That would be the ultimate for a lot of us, and it doesn't seem like we're getting any closer. So I'm still passionately connected to this team in ways that are probably bad for my mental health.
Well, let's go outside, catch our breaths, get some fresh air in our lungs, and move on with our days, I suppose. But our Monday has been kicked. We will be back on Wednesday morning. Until then, everybody, please enjoy yourself.